Hello, this is Mr. Stein, and in this video we're going to look at examples number 1 and 2 for section 6.5, slope point form of an equation. You need to remember that slope point form looks like this: y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where y1 and x1 give us the location of the points. So by the time we're done this, you should be able to graph a linear function given in point slope form, or slope point form. I mix them up. Write the equation of a line if you're given a slope and a point. Convert from slope point form into slope intercept form, so y equals mx plus b. Remember to note the subtraction signs. It's negative y1 here, so it's positive y1 there. It's negative x1 there, so it's positive x1 there. You switch the signs around. Let's go to examples 1 and 2. Example 1. Describe the graph of a linear function with this equation. Y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. And graph the equation. Well, I'm going to be honest. We're going to graph this equation pretty quick. But first, let's identify the slope. Slope is just this number, negative 1/2. Next, we're going to identify one point on the graph. Now, the x value for a point is not negative 2, it's positive 2. You switch the sign around. The y value for a point right there is negative 1. We switch the sign. It's positive 1 in the equation, so it's negative 1 in the point. Now we can graph this pretty easily. We go to our point, 2 and negative 1. Right there's our point, 2 and negative 1. And our slope tells us to go down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. We can work it the other way. And you just put enough points on it so that it all lines up. Draw your line through it, and there you go. Y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. Now, if we want to turn this equation into y equals mx plus b form, let's write it out. Y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. We simplify this side to get y plus 1 is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 1. Negative 1/2 times negative 2 is plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides to get y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 0. So here we can see our y-intercept. Right there is our y-intercept. This is also our x-intercept. Now, we can also talk about the domain, which is how far left and right this graph goes, all the possible x values. We can put any x value into this graph, so x is an element of the reals. And our range, how high up and down the graph goes, all the possible y values. It goes up and down forever, so y could be any real number. We've described the graph, we've graphed it. Example number 2. Write an equation in point slope form for this line. So we have to choose a point. It doesn't matter which one. We're going to do this one for the first one. In fact, we're going to do this twice. And then we will see that it doesn't matter. So we're going to do this one in orange. So our point is at negative 2, 2. All right, so let's write it out. Let's figure out our slope here. Our slope is negative 1 over 3. So our slope is equal to negative 1 over 3. So our equation for our orange point is y. Now we look at our y value here. It's plus 2. We swap the sign on that one. So y minus 2 is equal to negative 1/3 brackets x. Now again, let's look at our x value. It's negative 2, so it becomes a positive 2 over here. Plus 2. Swap the signs. So that's one equation for it. We could also use this one here, this point, as an equation. right? So that point is at 1 and 1. So in this case, it's going to be y minus 1. Remember, this point is at plus 1 here, so now it's at minus 1 here, is equal to negative 1/3 brackets x minus 1. Again, this was plus 1 here, so now it's minus 1 here. Swap the signs. Okay, so we've got two equations for this in point slope form. Both of these equations work for this graph. Letter B. Write the equation from part A in slope-intercept form. What is the y-intercept of the line? So now we're going to convert these guys into y equals mx plus b form. Let's see what happens. First one, simplify the left side. Y minus 2 is equal to negative 1/3 x minus 2/3. I just multiplied this negative 1/3 x into that binomial. Negative 1/3 times plus 2 is negative 2/3. Add 2 to both sides. Y is equal to negative 1/3 x. Now negative 2/3 plus 2 is equal to plus 1 1/3, or plus 4/3. Now we can see our y-intercept right there at plus 4/3. If we look on this graph, we can see that it looks like about plus 4/3. This would be 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. So plus 4/3. Now let's see what happens when we multiply it out in this green one. Again, we take this negative 1/3 x and multiply it out to get y minus 1 equals negative 1/3 x plus 1/3. Notice how it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than this one. Now we add 1 to both sides, and we get y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus, well, what's 1/3 plus 1? That's 1/3 plus 3/3. That means we get 4/3. Notice that these two equations are exactly the same. So two different point slope forms gives us the same y equals mx plus b form if they're on the same line. All right, so we can figure out the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is at the point 0 on the x. Y-intercepts are always at 0 on the x, and 4/3 on the y. And you can see that on the graph right there. All right, I hope this is helpful to you.